Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban has warned that the European Union is facing serious financial pressure after spending vast sums on the Ukraine conflict, and that EU leaders are now looking to frozen Russian funds to avoid political and economic fallout at home. According to Orban, EU governments have already spent more than €100 billion supporting Ukraine. He said this level of spending has put enormous strain on national budgets and created a growing risk that ordinary taxpayers could eventually be asked to cover the costs. That outcome, he warned, could trigger strong public backlash across Europe. Speaking in a recent interview on the Patriota YouTube channel, Orban said EU leaders previously told voters that the war would not cost them anything directly. He claimed they assured the public that financial support for Ukraine would come from Russian money, not from European citizens' pockets. Now, he argued, those same leaders are under pressure to make that promise a reality. Orban described EU officials as being in a race to secure new funding sources after committing so much money to the conflict. In his view, this explains why Brussels is now focused on Russian assets that were frozen after the escalation of the Ukraine war. Last week, the European Union took steps to further immobilize around $230 billion in Russian central bank assets held mainly in Europe. This move was carried out using Article 122 of the EU treaties, an emergency provision that allows decisions to be approved by a qualified majority of member states rather than requiring unanimous consent. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has suggested using these frozen funds to help support a large loan package for Ukraine. The proposal has intensified debate within the EU and drawn sharp criticism from Moscow. Russian officials have strongly condemned the asset freeze, calling it illegal under international law. Moscow has warned that any attempt to use the funds would amount to outright theft and has promised legal retaliation. Orban said that if EU governments fail to secure money from frozen Russian assets and instead turn to taxpayers, the political consequences could be severe. He warned of what he described as an explosive realization among voters, particularly in Western Europe, once people understand that the costs of the war are hitting their own wallets. According to Orban, such a realization could quickly destabilize several governments, leading to resignations or electoral defeats. He claimed that EU leaders are trying to avoid this scenario at all costs by finding financing outside taxpayers' pockets. He argued that the